What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nintendo Land, and we are officially in Nintendo Direct month. Now, of course, nothing has been announced, and we know that Nintendo is not appearing at E3 this year, and so are none of the other companies. E3 is actually shut down. But with that said, Nintendo normally has stuff to announce, especially when they have a pretty blank schedule. Before we get started, most of you guys right now watching this video are not subscribed to the channel. So stop what you're doing real quick and subscribe, and let's help this number grow. Let's see how much we can make it grow in the next couple of weeks. If you guys are very excited about a Nintendo Direct that could be happening very soon, show me right now. But thanks, guys. Now let's really start talking about this. And yeah, they have a pretty blank schedule. Right now, the only thing coming out for the rest of this year is a couple of DLCs, and of course, Pikmin 4 in July, which means they have stuff to show. And there's big reasons why they have stuff to show, because they're appearing at lots of events this year. But I'm about to dive in and give you guys the reason why we should be expecting a big Nintendo event or presentation of some sort, or even a big Nintendo Direct very soon, especially since we're now in the month of June. But let's get into it. The first thing that I've noticed is Nintendo Live 2023. Nintendo's having this thing that's called Nintendo Live 2023. It's running from September 1st to September 4th. And I guess it's just a way for people to come to Seattle in order to play a whole bunch of Nintendo games. Of course, they'll probably just keep advertising Mario Kart for kids to play. I don't understand why this game is still being there, but yeah, but that's a pretty big event. I feel like that's something new and something weird for Nintendo to do, and it chose it in a pretty good time slot, I feel like, where some new games could be announced by then, and maybe they want people to play those games and check them out, so I could definitely see that happening. But the other thing that's really big is Gamescom, because it's finally returning since 2019. Yeah, Nintendo hasn't been to Gamescom since 2019. And this happens August 23rd through the 27th. So you can see Nintendo kind of put themselves back to back with two events. Gamescom at August, really at the tail end of August, and Nintendo Live at the very beginning of September. So to me, this seems like these are two events that they put beside each other on purpose because they wanted to flesh out some new games. That just makes sense. These are two big events, and not having any new games there would be extremely, extremely weird. And remember, Pikmin 4 is coming out before any of these events, so yeah, if they're going to want to focus on anything coming out, they got to announce some stuff, man. Because let's go back. In 2019 at Gamescom, Nintendo had Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion 3, and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, which, you know, they're like okay games. Luigi's Mansion 3, obviously the big highlight here, the big game of that Gamescom, where they definitely wanted to show that off. That just makes sense. 2018 was obviously Smash Brothers. I remember watching lots of those videos, all Smash Ultimate, everything. In 2017, they had a big Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade 2 showcases, which was obviously very, very important. So as you can see, those were big games, and then they weren't there in 2020. Well, why? Well, 2020 was obviously the Corona COVID takeover year, and there wasn't really much to play anyways. You had like Mario 3D All-Stars and like Age of Calamity. I don't think that's really worth Gamescom. And in 2021, you had Metroid Dread and some smaller titles, and also Mario Party, which, yeah, towards the end of the year, that could have gotten a Gamescom, so I'm not 100% sure. Maybe they just didn't believe in Metroid Dread that much. But then, last year, in 2022, it was a strange year because they swapped and switched games. Xenoblade was supposed to be at the end of the year, and then they switched it with Splatoon, which put Xenoblade in the middle of the summer and Splatoon towards the end of the year. So maybe they could have had an event for Splatoon that would have worked out well, but I could definitely see that being a problem because it was a last-minute switch. They just didn't know what they were doing with the lineup and everything. Zelda got delayed. I'm sure they could have had Zelda there. So there's a lot of stuff going on that year. But now we are in 2023, and Nintendo is going back to Gamescom, and also Nintendo Live 2023, which is interesting. So that tells me there's stuff that's probably coming out. Well, what do they have to announce? Well, there's a lot, including some little updates that they could definitely touch on now and put in a big show or a direct. But let's talk about what they could show at Gamescom, which would be super important. Now, even in the last Nintendo Direct back in February, there was nothing new. I mean, nothing new at all. They just touched on stuff that we already knew about. Anything that was new was something that was like a shadow drop or something, you know, relatively small. Like Metroid Prime Remaster, I think, was the only new thing that they technically announced, which was still a remaster, and it came out right away. So there was like nothing to kind of list the future or kind of give us something to look forward to. I mean, we have Pikmin 4 in July. Mario Kart 8 has 2 more waves, which I'm sure we'll probably get one either this month or next month, and also one towards the end of the year. Then we have 2 Mario Rabbids waves as well. Probably once again, getting one this month and one towards the end of the year. And then we have the Splatoon major DLC, which I don't know when that's going to come. I thought for sure it would be in the summer, but it might even be pushed back towards the end of September, October, even November range. Who really knows at this point? Maybe they try to use that as the main, holiday game, which I hope is not the case. But yeah, there is a lot of DLC on the table still, and that's always going to be the case, I feel like, for Nintendo. Whenever a game comes out, there's DLC to follow with it. I mean, I'm sure Tears of the Kingdom is probably going to get an announcement of DLC or something like that, but overall, we have nothing right now. But let's also look at past years. In 2019, they had E3, and they had the big Zelda reveal of Breath of the Wild 2, it was coined, and then Smash Brothers DLC was all over the place. And then we also had tons of updates on games we already had. Not terrible, it did its thing. 2020, there was no E3, obviously. We had partner showcases all year and surprise announcements here and there, which was a sad year. 2021, Metroid Dread and smaller titles during an E3 showcase once again, and they showed off more Zelda, which we just get Zelda every single direct from here on out, it seems like. In 2022, there was no E3. Summer partner showcase though, but no E3, and we had to wait till September to get more news and information. But even then, I felt like we knew a lot about the year already. We knew stuff about Splatoon and Xenoblade that just released and stuff, so Splatoon was at least on the schedule, at least slated to give us something to look forward to. But what about this year, 2023? Well, we know Nintendo and everybody else dropped out of E3. That's all we know so far. We haven't had any, announcement or news update or anything from Nintendo, talking about a showcase or spotlight of any sort coming anytime soon. So is Nintendo going to have any type of presentation or direct soon, especially before August or September, their big events this year? Well, I want to say they have to. With Pikmin 4 coming out in July and being before these events and nothing else afterwards, but little DLC updates for games that we've been playing for so long, I really find it impossible for Nintendo to go to these events with the same games they've already had. Seriously, I expect Pikmin 4 to be there because it's just so close to these events, but there has got to be some new games getting announced very soon for them to drive people to want to come to these events in the first place. And I'm not going to go over every single possible game that could be here. Of course, I want to wait for the event to be announced before I make these predictions, but I'm saying Mario is due and high up on this prediction list. I mean, seriously, spin-offs, mainline, 2D, 3D, whatever it is, Nintendo needs to show some Mario stuff. We've been having a severe lack of Mario, especially since the Mario movie. There's got to be some type of Mario game coming out soon, right? They've got to talk about this, and I feel like that's something huge. And that includes other characters throughout the Mario series, because I feel like they're the ones that's been missing out the most recently. Where's Donkey Kong at? They should get something big. Yoshi hasn't had a game since Crafted World, and it was very in my opinion. So where's Yoshi? Maybe Yoshi could get a 3D game now, the same way Kirby went 3D after 2D for so long. There's so many other characters. Wario can finally get a adventure game again. We could see Luigi's Mansion 4 potentially now. It seems like we're right around the same time where that could come back out. Mario Maker might even be due again for another game. I mean, we're approaching a lot of famous, really fun games that Nintendo has had that cycle again, where it's time for these games to appear. So yeah, I'm expecting some big things here soon. Yes, Tears of the Kingdom is finally out, and to me, that is a big step for the future of Nintendo. I feel like they were really focusing on this game and this game only, but now with this game out, there's room for more announcements during directs that aren't more Zelda trailers. Trust me, I love Tears of the Kingdom. Do not get me wrong. It just seems like every direct you could just guarantee. It was like always Smash Brothers and Tears of the Kingdom. It feels good now that we can predict new things now. And, instead of just saying, yeah, we're going to get Tears of the Kingdom trailer. Yeah, we're going to get a Smash Brothers character. It feels good. It feels good. But let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. Do you think Nintendo's got a big presentation event or even a direct coming very soon? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo all the time. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one, guys. See ya.